Hi everyone. Today I want to talk about this one of the most famous books on composition out there, Marcos Mateu-Mestre Framed Ink. This is a great resource, and now he has Framed Ink 2 that I'll have a book review here on the channel as well. One reminder that I always like to say is that Marcos Mateu-Mestre is a storyboard artist in the animation industry. He does layout, he does environment design as well. So have that in mind because a lot of the examples are going to be around this, around graphic novels and sequential art. Thinking of movies, understanding movies, breaking them down. And this is the kind of mindset that you should come into this book. So general thoughts on narrative art, that's what I said. Like basically narrative art, I think is the best way to summarize what I just mentioned. Drawing and composition, a single image, so atmosphere, lighting, and so on. Composing shots with a purpose. I think this is the most important thing everywhere, especially if you want to work in illustration or just compose great images with some kind of purpose. You need to understand what you're doing. I have a video on art and drawing fundamentals, but both videos I'm going to add to the description as well. But they are discussing that art fundamentals should be learned around doing something creative. Either you want to tell a story, or you want to design something, or you want to express yourself. And it starts with creating an image with purpose. I've done a lot of portfolio reviews in my life, a lot of feedback to artists under my mentorship. And a lot of them, the problem is that they don't think about what they're doing. What story are they trying to convey when they're doing an illustration? They want to do a beautiful picture that says nothing. And that's a big problem. And I think that's what Framed Ink will help you solve. So read it. Don't just look at the images. I had the problem of doing a lot of copies of this book, and it doesn't work like that. If you want to understand, read through it. What's the purpose behind what he's doing? And then you find more and more examples of movies that have the same purpose and so on. So composing for continuity, this is different if you're doing storyboarding and you change the frames all around. If you have a lot of cuts, or even if you don't have, you will need to frame things from time to time. Every camera angle change, you are framing. It's almost like a new frame from a cut, and a graphic novel as well. But we'll get there. Forward by Jeffrey Katzenberg from DreamWorks. So that just reinforces what I told about his line of work and what he does for a living. So general thoughts on narrative art. This is great. Just start here, have a read, and start wrapping your head around the problem. I think this is the most important. So drawing a single image, you can see the different approaches to composition and what it's saying, drawing in chiaroscuro and using light to help emphasize your story. If you've seen my review on Frame Perspective 2, there is a great image using this kind of cut-out lighting, more on a gladiator kind of approach. And you have different stories. If we look at each one of those, you can see different stories. I love all the Golden Age illustrators like Mid Schaefer and so on. He uses a lot of these lighting approaches to his image making. Basics, some like more of a checklist, understanding like rule of thirds and all those things that we have seen before, like long wide shot, medium shot, close-ups, extreme close-ups, and understanding the different approaches to image making, angles and direction, tangents, to having like taking your time. And I've seen so many tangents in images before, like this, that looks like the palm tree looks like a headpiece, or the tangents over here on the hair and the house behind them. It calls so much attention. The window over here. So it makes the image flat to some extent, as well as calls a lot of attention. These attention grabbing, energy driven approach will be highly discussed in his Framed Ink 2 book that I'll do a review as well. But it's all about how a point is pulling the eye in with the energy of the whole composition. So the direction of reading as well, in more of a Western approach, we read from left to right. So most of the images we will look at them from left to right, but different cultures will have different ways of looking at this, and that will change the overall experience of the composition. Lens, he also discusses this in his book, Frame Perspective 1. So the same example is in there. If you've seen that, it's this. And composing shots with a purpose. Now, every shot will have a different feeling if you take the time to see it. It's a different emotion and message from here to here, but it's the same kind of understanding. This has more of a directional approach, and this is more of a framing approach, but it's almost the same. Different lighting situations will tell a different story as well. What do you want to emphasize? Do you want to emphasize the relationship between them, the emptiness maybe between them, and there is an obstacle between them? There is not like a gap like this that they are connecting. She's emphasized in here, or his silhouette is really emphasized in here. She is the person the story is talking about, and he is the person the story is talking about. You can see in the thumbnail, the small thumbnail here, she almost disappears in this one. And you're trying to convey a different personality as well in here in this storytelling. And every kind of shot is gonna tell a different story. I used just to copy this, and I didn't learn anything, to be honest. Just try and find some movies that use the same framework. So looking down, feeling down, you can have like Predator or alien movies, horror movies, where you have like this scary situation where a creature is looking down on you, and you're scared, or something like this. So these are great examples. You can have a shot like this on a movie like Wall Street or something like that. Try and find other resources, other references that will help you understand the feeling behind the images and how to compose your own illustrations. I think the same with patterns. What do you want to convey? I love movies because they understand that sometimes you need a breathing room. You need to get away from the characters. You need to focus the lens on something abstract, that we have that resting moment, and that will really compose the shot in different point of views and so on. Big versus small, angular versus curved, a lot of different techniques and approaches and tools that will help you compose images, and you can find those all around. I would love to see other examples suggested by him from movies, animations, and so on, but we can definitely find some of them. If you have some great examples, please share in the comments. I would love to go and look at them. There are great resources on the internet nowadays where you can find screen grabs from whole movies and just look at them and understand the story beat, what's happening, the feeling that they're having, and just go from there. Working with motion. So if the camera is going to move, you're going to have a different experience in the overall scene. The camera is going to pan up, and you have different ways of telling stories and conveying. You'll probably go into sequential art soon. perspective and all that. So continuity, and I'll just jump around a little bit, a little faster, so that I don't spoil everything. But it's really interesting to think that when that there's a cut and things change, you need to maintain the composition so the eye doesn't bounce around. There's a video on YouTube, I'll try and find it, that explains the composition of a scene between Ka and Shere Khan from the Jungle Book movie animation from the 50s, if I'm not mistaken. I think the animator is Mute Call, and it's a whole class on composition for continuity. That's awesome. I'll try and find and add it in here. And finally, graphic novel approach. So I think he was really into this, so he brought to the book. Shape language, you can bring that to everything, like props, vegetation, and everything. So bringing a little bit of the characters that we have seen in on-frame perspective too. This book was published before, so he wanted to bring a little bit of his knowledge on characters in here, and he expanded on that on the Frame Perspective 2 book. If you want to work on storyboarding and animation or movies, I would highly recommend buying all of his books, to be honest. You have like a year at least of studies in there. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you're excited to study composition and look at images in a different way. Have great studies, have a great day, and we'll definitely catch up soon on other videos. Bye.